All right, welcome everyone to this webinar. It's going to be very exciting. It's around 8:30 a.m. on a beautiful Saturday morning. So this webinar is very exciting because we're going to actually get started in brainstorming and figure out ways to make money. So it's really a brainstorming session. So I cannot promise anything, but the focus of this webinar, let me just put it here. The focus is really, how we can make money with AI, and I mean any amount of money. It's just important to get started. Make money with AI within 10 days. So that's the focus of this brainstorming session. So, being a very creative person, I'm going to generate tons of ideas, and so it's up to you to identify the ideas that resonate with you and to go, to go with it, to go all in. Because you have only 10 days, and the beauty of this deadline is that it's going to focus your mind so that you don't do anything else except figure out ways to make money with AI in 10 days. And again, when I say make money, it can be $1, it can be $50, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you just have to get started and you overcome the inertia. Most people are currently inert in the sense that they're watching or reading the news about AI, but nobody is really getting serious, and that's important. You have to get serious about making money from AI, otherwise it's not going to happen. So what I mean by serious, you can see the dollar sign, is that you actually have to get somebody to pay you for a product, not a service, for a product that you've generated with AI, or for a product that you've created before and you're using AI to sell that product. Okay, so that's the focus of this webinar. So before we start, just a couple of rules. To make money with AI in 10 days, we will not focus on services. And the reason why is that if you provide a service, then you have to repeat that service. That involves a time. It's very tiring. It's not scalable. So if you're a consultant, if you're a trainer, if you're a teacher, you have to forget that. You have to, in a way, you have to remove yourself from the money-making equation. So if you're making money currently by offering consulting services to business owners, for example, you're helping them with AI automation or stuff like that, or if you're a trainer and you're offering webinars on YouTube and Facebook, that's fine. You can make money that way, but that's not what we're focused on because it's not scalable. So that's rule number one, no services. Rule number two, you have to provide a product, but it has to be a digital product. In other words, people have to be able to download it after they pay you, or they have to be able to stream it online. They have to be able to consume it online. So it means that whatever you're selling, customers must have immediate access to the value that you're creating. Okay. Number three, your money-making method has to be simple. It has to be so simple that you could basically teach a teenager how to do it. You can teach any person anywhere in the world who speaks English and who has a normal IQ of, let's say, 100, who is willing to work hard, but not too hard. It's got to be so simple, like McDonald's. McDonald's can hire teenagers, and the teenagers can run a McDonald's restaurant. So it has to be simple, not necessarily easy, but ideally it should be easy. It should be self-explanatory, so it's kind of obvious how people will make money from your business model. It's kind of obvious. It should not require education or training. So the people that you're going to be teaching or demonstrating your money-making system, it should not require education or training, or at least extensive education, like maybe just a quick explanation or demonstration, and then they know how to make money. with AI. And another rule before we get started is that you can use AI to create the digital product, or you can use AI to market a digital product that you've created before. Okay, so for example, I've created video courses before, I've created web applications before. I can use AI to market those products. I don't have to use AI to create those products. And maybe finally, ideally, it should be the product should help people to make money. Ideally, because money is kind of like a universal product, right? So if you help people to make money, then they're gonna be more willing to buy your product. So if your product costs $10 and you promise them that they're gonna make more, they're gonna make more than $10, so I don't know, could be 500 or more, then that's a good product because they are actually making money from your product. So they don't mind paying you $10 because they're gonna be making $500 or more. Okay, but of course you cannot promise them that they're gonna make $500 or more. Actually, you can promise them. You can say something like a guarantee. If you haven't made more than, let's say, $100, let's be a little bit more conservative, within, let's say, 60 days, your money back, no questions. Okay, so you offer a guarantee. They buy your product for $10 and they have 2 months to make money, like $100 from it, whether it's teaching it or reselling it. If they don't make at least $100, then you refund their $10. So this guarantee forces you to be honest about what you're selling. So I think those 5 basic rules will establish the kind of foundation so we know exactly what we're getting into. Okay, so let me just create a second slide and we can get started. And again, keep in mind that this is a brainstorming session, so I haven't prepared at all for this. It's just me brainstorming and thinking aloud. So keep that in mind, and also feel free to take notes. It's very important that you take notes because that's the only way you're going to pay attention and you're going to engage your mind. So these are the 5 rules that we should. There may be more rules, but just want to keep it simple. 5 rules. So how can we make money with AI? First of all, there's an insight that came to me this morning. I want to share with you. It's very relevant, and the insight is that language captures knowledge, and knowledge captures money. So what I mean is that, okay, people often say that knowledge is power. Okay, so what I mean here is that you cannot transfer knowledge without using language. Like if I were to teach any subject, I cannot show you images, I cannot show you a video. I actually have to show you text, whether I speak the text or whether I write the text and I publish an ebook. There has to be a text, right? So that's what I mean by language. Language will allow human beings to capture knowledge. Chimpanzees, for example, or other species on the planet, they cannot use language, and therefore they cannot capture knowledge. Okay, dogs, cats, dolphins, maybe. Dolphins can speak to each other in using a sophisticated language, whales also, but they cannot write down their language. They cannot write books, etc. Well, at least not to my knowledge. I've never seen a dolphin under the sea writing books or publishing books. So language is absolutely vital to capturing knowledge and transferring it, communicating it. And knowledge captures money. Okay, because if you have knowledge, it's like you have a lit candle and you can allow other people to light their candle, you know, by touching your lit candle. So knowledge is very much like fire, and knowledge can capture money, and that's why there's the saying, when a man with knowledge meets a man with money, the man with money ends up with the knowledge, and the man with knowledge ends up with the money. Now the difference is that money is a scarce resource, right? So the guy who has money, he spends it and he no longer has the money. But the guy who has knowledge, it's like he has fire and he sells his knowledge and he still keeps his knowledge. He can still sell his knowledge to an infinite number of people, and that's why knowledge captures money. But more than that, knowledge is superior to money. This is very important to understand. Knowledge is superior to money, because once you have valuable knowledge that people are willing to pay for, you can just sell it to 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people. You know, there's no limit. But if you have, you know, like if you have like $1,000 and you spend it, you no longer have $1,000. And Bitcoin, even though it's a great invention, Bitcoin is the same thing. Bitcoin is a scarce resource, and once you spend your Bitcoin or your Satoshis, you no longer have it. Same thing with other traditional asset classes, you know, whether it's gold, silver, whether it's cash, any currency in the world, whether it's real estate, you know, whether it's, wheat, you know, any commodity, you spend it, you no longer have it. But knowledge is very peculiar, because knowledge, and I'm not talking about, you know, theoretical knowledge or information that you find on Wikipedia. I'm talking about knowledge that is valuable, that people are willing to pay for. And strangely enough, and this is something that is kind of like an advantage if you know and you study exactly the, you know, what I'm trying to communicate here. The strange thing is that there is a lot of knowledge online. For example, if you watch any video by Charlie Munger, his knowledge is extremely valuable, but it's available on YouTube for free. So what you can do is that you can take the knowledge that is available online for free, so free knowledge, and you package it in some way into a product that is easier to consume. You package it into a more user-friendly or a more dramatic package. It can be a video, it can be an animation, it can be a comic book, it can be a diagram, but you package it in some way, and then you own the copyright, because copyright is about legal protection of your artistic creations, right? So Charlie Munger is going to offer a lot of very wise knowledge, but what he's saying is not artistic. It's just Charlie Munger being Charlie Munger. He's just stating his knowledge and wisdom. But if you package it into a product that is more user-friendly, more dramatic, more interactive, more fun to consume, then you own the copyright, because it's been packaged in a very artistic, in a very original way. And once you own the copyright, you can sell the knowledge product, you can license it. Licensing means that you give somebody else the legal right to sell or to manufacture your copyrighted product. So this is probably one of the major insights that you have to keep in mind. There's a lot of knowledge available online for free, and you can grab it, you can just package it. This is so important. It's all about packaging. You package it into a format that is more fun, more interactive, more user-friendly, and then you can sell infinitely once you have created this package. And again, keep in mind that originally it starts with free. Like everything online is free, but don't be deceived by the fact that the knowledge, let's say from Charlie Munger, is free on YouTube. Because a lot of people, they see that knowledge on YouTube. Like I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos by Charlie Munger, and I find his wisdom incredible. But just because the knowledge and the information is free online doesn't mean that you cannot package it. Okay, you have to package it in the same way that, okay, the following analogy might be a little bit strange, but we have oxygen that is available in the air, like it's free, right? So imagine that you found a way to package or compress into aluminum cans, and then you can sell the oxygen. Let's call it oxycans. You can sell the oxygen cans to people, let's say, who live in a city that is polluted, so you can actually take something that is abundant in the air, you package it, you compress it into a container, and you sell that. And I think that's how they've been able to sell water. They take water from uncontaminated sources like a lake or something, and they put the water into a bottle, and they sell water bottles, and yet water is free in nature. So it's the same idea, except that it's not water, it's knowledge. You just find knowledge that is available online for free, you package it in some way, and then bada bing, bada boom, you have products to sell. And in the future, I'm just going to put it here, in the future, I'm going to create a webinar on all the ways in which you can package the free information online. So let me just put it here to as a note to myself. Live stream on, let's say, 100 ways to package free information online into paid info products. So for example, we have ebooks, we have reports, we have newsletters. I have like a list of over 100 different information product formats, right? Can be webinars, can be boot camp, can be a course, can be an email based course, can be a video game, can be a web application. There is really no limit to the number of information products that you can create, and it depends on you. Like if you're you love video games, then turn the knowledge into a video game. If you love to write ebooks, if you love to create video courses, you love to videotape yourself, and you love your face, you love your voice, well, then create video courses. But there are so many information products that you can create from the free information online. I cannot stress this enough. Like, this is really crazy. There's so much free information online, and you can package it into information products, and from these information products you can make tons of money. There is no limit to how much money you can make. You just have to understand, like, what is the best way for you to package the information product. For some people it's a report, for other people it's a video course. For me, it's a live stream, and then I turn the live stream into a video course or a transcript or an ebook or a blueprint or a user manual. There are so many ways to make money. And notice that all of this, it has nothing to do with AI. Okay, like all of this is just the internet, it's just the digital nature of value. So let me just make it clear here. All these info products have nothing to do with AI. So imagine that AI has not been invented. A Terminator goes back in time and kills Sam Altman, for example, when he was a kid. ChatGPT doesn't exist. You still, with the internet, with smartphones, computers, software, you still can make a lot of money if you know how to package the free information that you find online. And this is important because nowadays, with AI, like a lot of people, want to leverage this trend. Actually, well, it's more than a trend. It's a inevitable historic development, right? But anyways, a lot of entrepreneurs who are hustling, they're opportunistic. They talk about AI. Everybody has AI in their value proposition, and so AI. But I think that it's time to, because I think we live in an AI bubble right now. Everything is hypey, so it's important to go back to, traditional, or go back to fundamentals. The fundamental thing about the internet is that it offers free information. Anyone in any country who has a Wi-Fi connection can have access to this free information, and from this free information you can create an unlimited number of products. It depends on you, and it's what I call information products. And you can sell these information products to people anywhere in the world as long as they speak English, or you can translate easily into French, Spanish, Mandarin, etc. And you can sell these information products and you can make tons of money. And we'll talk about passive income. So you don't have to get involved to offer your consulting services. I hate that. I hate, when I have to meet with people and then train them. And no, I just want to create a video course. Leave me alone. I want to create a video course. I give you, samples. You like it, you buy the full video course. You don't like it, just walk away. That's the beauty of information products. You can give away 30%. And if they like the 30%, if they like your free sample, they buy your entire video course, they buy your entire video game. You can give them the first level for free. If they want to go to the second level, third level, they have to pay for the video course. Same thing with the app, webinar, bootcamp. Everything is the same. You don't even need to sell. You just need to give away a free sample. They like it, they buy it. That's it. Bada bing, bada boom. It's win-win. But you have to commit to that. A lot of people, they use AI and they still have the old mentality, where I have to work. I have to show up, like, in a Zoom session. People have to see me. They have to hear me. You have to forget about that. That's the old mentality. The new mentality, if you want to get rich, I can sleep and make money while I sleep. That's the new mentality. That's the new possibility. It's not even a possibility. You have a lot of 20-year-old kids who are selling all these information products and they're making crazy money. They're 20-something. Okay, and then we have people who are 35 or 40 plus. They hang on to this old mentality. No, Peter, I have to show up at the office, and then they go on LinkedIn and they try to protect their careers, their jobs. Forget about jobs. AI is going to take away all the jobs. You have to forget about this old mentality and adopt the new mentality where you can sleep or you can go on vacation. You can do whatever you want to do in life, okay? And you can make money while you're sleeping. How? Because your customers will have access to your information products on your website, and they can download your stuff and they can pay you. It's really, really that easy. All right, let me just grab my coffee. So in the next step, we'll try to understand, first of all, what Peter Thiel meant when he wrote the book From Zero to One. And basically, what Peter meant is that at the beginning, you have zero product. And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to get to one product. Not two, not five, just one. And so it's not going to be, it's not going to be a straight line like this. More likely, you're going to go in this direction, and then you realize, no, it doesn't work. And then you go in this direction, no, it doesn't work. And then you might even regress, you go downward, it doesn't work. And over time, you do all kinds of experimentation. And one day you discover, hey, I actually have a product that I can actually sell. So this is where you have a digital product. So let's put it here. And as we've seen before, you can have all kinds of information product, whether it's an ebook, a video course, a video game, etc. But you have a digital product and you're able to sell it for non-zero price. Non-zero means that at least $1, or it can be, $5. You can sell it for $10. You can sell it for $19, whatever. So you have a digital product. And to be realistic, I don't want to lie to you. It might be challenging to come up with your first digital product because you don't know what you're doing, right? So you're all over the place, and you're so used to the old mentality where you're not even thinking about creating a product. You're thinking about services. Like even a lot of people who are into AI, they still offer a service. That's why I don't understand. Like, why are you offering consulting? Why are you hiring people and you're working so hard? Forget about this old mentality. Create a product. So anyways, let's say that you're convinced and you forget about products. You just work hard at home. You just want to create a product. So once you create a product, whether it's an ebook, whether it's an application, a software program, it's going to be hard. But guess what? The good news is that once you have this digital product, let's represent it by, let's say, a square here. Once you have this digital product, then the magic happens, because guess what? You can replicate perfectly this digital product. And I mean really perfectly. Like, the 20th copy is going to be exactly the same as the original copy. So just to distinguish these two, let's say that the original copy, let's give it a different color. Let's say that it's, I don't know if they have the gold color. Okay, let's say that it's in blue, and this is the master copy. You want to protect this master copy, because if you lose it, that's it. You just lost like millions of dollars. So this is the master copy, and you replicate it. But the second copy, which is identical to the original copy, we're gonna put it in green. And you can make like an infinite number of copies. And every time that you sell a copy of this product, you're going to be making money. So, whoops. So you know what? Let's redo this. So let's say that you're selling your digital product, whether it's an ebook, a video course, etc. Let's say that you're selling for a modest $10, which is not too much to ask, right? So you're selling it for $10. Which is not a lot of money, but the beauty, thanks to Claude Shannon, the father of information theory, the beauty is that you can print tons of $10. So it all adds up, right? It all adds up. And just going to bring it over here. And then you can even provide sell a license to other people, and they can also print, in other words, sell your $10 ebook. So after a while, you're making thousands of dollars, from your video course, from your web application, from your whatever it is. But that's not even the end of it, because while you have your marketing system that's selling your $10 product, you're gonna keep improving your product, right? So because you improve it, you can increase the price to $20. And therefore, after that, you're going to sell your $20 product. And obviously, the profit margin is much better. So my point here is to get you excited about all the green squares here. These are perfect copies of your original product in blue. Your job is just to create that original product in blue. That's it. Once you create it, you're on easy street. You're just going to be printing money like the central banks in countries all over the world, or the Federal Reserve in the US. They're just printing money. In your case, however, you're printing digital products, and people can make copies of this digital product thanks to their smartphone. So you're not the one who's printing these products. It is your customers' phones, tablets, and personal computers. It is their computing devices that are making copies. You're just uploading the original blue copy on the web, and then your customers, they will make copies, perfect copies of your digital product. Okay, and so there's no shipping, there's no handling, there's no postage, there's no employees. You just upload a freaking, sorry, excuse my French, you're just uploading a freaking digital product online, and people will be able to make a copy after they pay you. So this is what you're aiming for. This blue box here, that's the aim that we're trying to achieve here. And of course, it's not going to be easy. Like I said, you're going to have to meander a little bit. You're going to have to wander. You're going to have to get lost. But at one point, if you persevere, you will have a blue product, and from then on, you're just printing money. All right, so let me just check the live stream, make sure that it's still healthy. So I've been speaking for 30 minutes. It's really too bad. I should really create a Zoom session so I can hear people's feedback in this live stream. I cannot hear anybody, but anyways, in the future, I'm going to create a Zoom. So let's go back to here. So it's not a service, it's a digital product. Now, is it simple? That's the thing we have to discuss here. The blue product, is it something that is simple? And most importantly, like, how can you make money in 10 days? What are specific ways to make money with AI in 10 days? Because what I've been explaining here, it sounds a little bit complicated, and to a certain extent it is. It's not easy to create this blue product in the first place. So what would be the easiest way for you to make money with AI? Let me think. So let's come up with a list, because this is really a brainstorming session. Let's come up with a list and we can figure out like what's the easiest way for us to sell, to create a digital product and sell it to, let's say, our LinkedIn connections or Facebook friends. So let me see. Let me just use a numbered list. So maybe the first thing, and this is something I actually did in January 2023, a few weeks after ChatGPT came out. I thought, to talk to ChatGPT, to write the prompts, it's not easy. So I began to sell a Google Sheet, and I can put the link somewhere later on. You can purchase that Google Sheet as well. So I began to sell a Google Sheet for only $10, and it had, I think, 150 or 200, I forgot, but 200 prompts, and it's organized by category. So you have prompts for marketing, for sales, for information product creation, for sales, webinars, etc. So I had a Google Sheet of 200 prompts, and I began to sell to people for $10, and it's still selling. So, and the beauty of that is that you can resell at any price, and you pocket 100% of the profits. In other words, once you purchase my Google Sheet for $10, you make a copy to your Google Drive, and after that you can sell to anyone. You can sell for $20 or $50, it doesn't matter. So that's how I've been making money, and that's the easiest way. And if you're interested, you can purchase that Google Sheet. I don't have the payment link, but I'm going to share it later on. Another way to make money maybe is to write an ebook on prompt engineering. And like I said, the information is free. You can go online and you can find tons of webinars and YouTube videos and ebooks on prompt engineering, and a lot of them will be free. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to repackage it using your artistry, using images, using your copywriting, using your creativity. You can repackage those ebooks that are free online into paid ebooks. And in your case, you could be charging $5, you could be charging $10, or you could be charging even $50, but it comes with coaching. So you offer coaching, you answer their questions, etc. So that's a second way, ebook. A third way, maybe you can create a video course using ChatGPT. So you might be an expert in a particular field. So you just talk to ChatGPT and you just say, listen, Chat, I'm an expert on search engine optimization or copywriting or sales, and here's my track record, what I've been able to achieve, blah 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 blah. And the prompt is, can you turn all of that, which is your background, your journey, your expertise, can you turn all of that into a 10 module course? And then it's gonna give you the titles of the 10 modules, and then you continue to do the prompting. You can say, can you develop each module into a lesson plan, into PowerPoint slides, etc. And bada bing bada boom, within 30 minutes you're gonna have the structure of a video course. And after that, you just have to voice the video course, right? You just have to go through the slides, you voice it, and you create a video course, and you upload it on teachable.com, and you can start selling. And all of this can be done within 10 days. Another smarter approach is to actually, the law of supply and demand. In this case, it's the opposite. You assess the demand, then you supply. So the way to do that is that you create a sales page, and then you describe exactly the product that you're going to launch. So it has to be an information product, it can be an ebook, a video course, etc. And you say to the visitors to that sales page, you say that it's going to be available in 30 days. If you pay now, you're going to have a huge discount. So let's say you're selling it for $20 and not the regular price of I don't know, $50. So in order to have that $30 discount, they have to buy now, and you have nothing to lose, because if nobody buys, then that's fine, you don't develop the information product. But if a lot of people begin to send you $20, then you spend the next 30 days to create that information product. So this is a risk-free way for you to sell something that doesn't even exist, right? You're just trying to assess the demand. Of course, it has to be an information product that you're able to create. So let me give you an example. Let's say if I was to choose that method number 4, what I would do is I would write a book on, let's say, strategic copywriting ebook, and I would charge maybe $20, but the regular price would be $50 after I start publishing. And I would sell using ChatGPT. I would write an amazing sales page telling people how to discover the magic words that will make money while you sleep. That's my promise. Copywriting is about coming up with the magic words that will trigger emotions and actions from your target market so that they send you their money, their credit card, while you're sleeping. So it's a very clear value proposition, and I think that most people, especially people in business, they will go for it because it costs only $20, and I'm going to tell them, I'm going to teach you everything I've learned in the last 20 years. I'm an award-winning writer, and so on and so on. So you go all out when you're selling that product, which does not exist yet. And either one of two scenarios will occur. If there's no demand, then maybe I should go back and rewrite my sales page, because the way that I wrote it, strategic copywriting, nobody's buying, right? Or if there is demand, so let's say 30 people buy it at $20, then at least I have $600 in my bank account, and I feel that there is demand, and I should create that copywriting ebook. Or it can be more than an ebook. It can be a video course teaching people step by step, But I have $600 in the bank, and so I can start to create that information product, the copywriting ebook or the video course. Now, of course, this is not the end of the story, because once I release it after 30 days, it's possible that 100% refund, right? People feel that I've been lying to them on the sales page, and all of them want a refund. And so you want to avoid that refund. So what you do is that on your sales page, before you actually create the product, you have to be ultra precise. Like in my case, I have to say, okay, the copywriting book will have the following chapters, and here are the chapters. I actually have to write down the title of each chapter, and here's what I'm going to share with you, what I actually did. So you have to be very precise and very factual when you write that sales page. You cannot say something like, my copywriting ebook is going to help you to make millions of dollars, because then you raise expectations, and then so they expect to become super rich after they read your ebook. So you have to be moderate, you have to be factual, you have to be truthful. But at the same time that you're factual and truthful, you want to excite their imagination. You want to tell them, like, if you buy the copywriting ebook, it's going to change the way you look at the world, because now you will understand that it's all about using the right magic words that will make money for you. So you have to be sincere. And I think that when you're selling something for $20, people are not going to expect the moon, right? They're going to expect to learn about copywriting. Most people don't even know what copywriting is in the first place. So it's a kind of a gentle introduction to copywriting and how they can start to use magic words and magic language that will make money for them. And it's just $20, right? But in the worst case scenario, I don't think this is going to happen, but let's say 80% of people want a refund. Like, even in the worst case scenario, you end up with only $100. It's not the end of the world, because you still have $100. and then you can try to improve your video course or your copywriting ebook. So it's never, you're never losing anything. The important thing, if you want to make money online or with AI or without AI, the important thing is to take action, which is what this webinar is all about. Okay, the important thing is to take action and not be afraid of failure. Failure is just a concept. So you might very well, quote unquote, fail. Like after 10 days, you're not making money with AI. That's okay. Even if you're not making money with AI after 10 days, you're still better off than the people who are just waiting. The people who wait. I don't know what they're waiting for. Are they waiting for UBI? I don't know. Are they waiting for UFOs to land on planet Earth and the extraterrestrials are gonna give us free energy and stuff? No, don't wait. Just take action. Like commit to making money with AI in 10 days. I just gave you a couple of ways to make money with AI. You might have different ideas, but what's important is that you gotta commit to it. You can't just wait and watch tons and tons of videos on AI, or you can't just play with all the large language models out there. There's like hundreds of large language models. Like stop waiting and start taking action, start committing, start writing down your goals, and your goal doesn't have to be, I'm going to make like $1,000 in 10 days. Your goal can be something as simple as, I'm going to make at least $10 in 10 days with AI. So you're going to use AI in some way. That's it. $10. You have 10 days to make $10. Now it sounds crazy. It sounds childish, right? What, $10? Of course I can make $10 in 10 days. But and it sounds very small as a goal, but like I said before, once you are able to create a product, that you sell for 10 days, that's just the beginning, because after that you can make a perfect copy of that product and you're going to be printing money. Like even worst case scenario, okay, like you can sell only for $2 because you don't, and this has been my challenge, by the way. I always underestimate my value. I don't know, maybe I have self-esteem problems, maybe I should see a psychologist, but I've had that problem for a long time. Like I underestimate my value. So if that's your case, that's okay, because even if you're selling your stuff for $2 and your customers think you're crazy, but it's okay. That's your psychological level. That's your sense of self-esteem. You don't think that your knowledge is worth a lot of money, so you're just selling it for $2. Still, you're making a lot of $2, and after a while, it all adds up, right? You're making a lot of money. And there are people I know, I have friends who are very successful investors, and I asked them, look, let's call him Jonathan. Jonathan, you're a successful investor. You were able to retire by the time you were 35. Your investing knowledge, if you could package it into an ebook, forget about writing it. I'm going to hire people to write for you. What is the value of your knowledge? So Jonathan could tell me, oh, Peter, easily, I can set a price of $50 for my ebook. Well, the problem is that he's not doing it, or she's not doing it. The problem is not that people don't believe their knowledge is valuable. Their knowledge is valuable. It's just that they're not doing it. They're not doing it. You have to do it. You have to actually do it. And it's the same way, when we first learned how to ride a bike, or when we first learned how to walk. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't remember the first time I learned how to ride a bike. I don't remember the first time I learned how to walk. But if I spoke to my mother, I'm pretty sure that she's going to say something like, oh, Peter, you fell flat on your face like a couple of times, Same thing with riding a bike. I probably fell down a couple of times before I got the hang of it. So it's very much the same thing. Like to create a new product, it's very much like learning how to ride a bike. It can be scary, but I guarantee you that it's not like learning how to ride a bike. When you learn how to ride a bike, you can actually hurt yourself, right? Or when you first learn how to walk, you can actually hurt yourself. But when you learn how to create your first information product, there is no way that you can physically hurt yourself. I guarantee you, okay, so you don't have to be afraid. This is very important. There are so many people who are super smart, but they're so afraid. They're afraid to create an ebook. They're so afraid. And what is it that they're afraid of? It's not like riding a bike or learning how to walk. They're not afraid of physical harm. They're afraid of what? Rejection. Like what if I capture, let's say Jonathan says, what if I capture my investing knowledge into a $50 ebook and nobody buys, maybe except your mom. Always rely on mom to encourage you, but nobody buys, and then you would be faced with the inevitable conclusion that your knowledge is worth zero, meaning that you are worth zero. I think that's the real fear that people have. And we're talking about like 1 billion people on LinkedIn. Like 99.9% of my 21,000 connections on LinkedIn, they don't sell anything on their profile. Nothing. And I look at their track record because it's quite visible. And I'm thinking, oh my God, these people are vice presidents, they're chief executive officers, they're strategic consultants, they're coaches, they're making a 6-figure income, obviously, but they're not selling any information products. So it means that the knowledge that they have is trapped in their heads. They're not sharing, they're not selling their knowledge, which is crazy. I know it's crazy because in my case, I've been selling my knowledge all over the place. I've been, for 5 years, I was making $80 an hour. Actually, I was not making $80 at the beginning, but toward the end of my career, I was the highest paid teacher at Taft College, $80 an hour just to stand in front of a classroom and make jokes. I was really using the classroom as a kind of stand-up comedian platform. I was making tons of jokes and students were laughing their head off. But it was a lot of fun. And, I was able to create 5 college level courses. Like these are 5 super robust courses of 15 weeks, right? And each week it would be 3 hours of classroom per week. And, my courses had like lesson plans. We're talking about slides, exercises, assignments, diagrams, like even games. So these are 5 college level courses that I created. But the first time that I created the email marketing course, it was quite challenging. It was not easy, but it's like learning how to ride a bike. After I created that email marketing course, the next course was, what is it? I think it was online marketing research. And after that, it was project management. But, after after the first email marketing course, the rest is so easy. I did it like in one afternoon or something. It's so easy because once you've done it the first time, after that, it's so easy because you're not afraid anymore. You're not stopping yourself. Same thing with learning how to ride a bike. The second time you hopped on your bike, you don't even think about it. The second time that you stood up from, being on your knees and hands, second time you stood up, you don't even think about it. You just walk straight toward your mama and papa, hey, I can walk now. So I want you to understand the same thing. The first time that you create an ebook, it's going to be like a miracle. Oh my God, my name is on that ebook. I'm actually an author. But I've done that in 2011. I wrote the 500-page ebook called Systematic Wealth Creation. And I created it in 2 weeks. It's so full of knowledge. I'm going to start releasing it again. But I did it in 2011. I was sick at home. So like in 1 week or 10 days, I was able to create that 500-page ebook, which contains essentially 90% of my business knowledge. And after that, it's so easy for me to create ebooks. That was like, that's 14 years ago, right? Yeah, 14 years ago. So in the same way, for you to create your first ebook, can be 10 pages, can be 20 pages, it's going to be really scary. You're going to become a different person, and you're going to sell it and people are going to reject you. But then, one day one person buys from you and it's not your mom. Okay. One person buys from you. After that, a second person buys, a third. And like I said, it's like as if you were printing money. Every time you sell your ebook, you're printing money. Whether it's $2, whether it's $10, it's really, really that easy to make money online. And this is a psychological obstacle that you have to overcome. You have to overcome this fear of rejection, this fear of failure. And once you overcome that fear in the same way that you overcame the fear of riding a bike, obviously, you overcame the fear of falling flat on your face. Once you overcome that fear, you can go anywhere. Like, I'm willing to bet that if you go to any country and somebody gives you a bike, it doesn't matter what brand or what make or model it is, as long as it's the right height, you can use that bike and you can go anywhere, right? You can just keep pedaling and there's no limit to how far you can go or where you can go. Same thing with walking. Once you know how to walk, you're not going to be crawling on all fours anymore. You're just going to walk anywhere. Same thing, by the way, with driving. Although driving requires more training, right? But once you learn how to drive a car, you can go to any country, you rent a car, and you can go anywhere. Like when I first learned how to drive a car, I was smart because I learned how to drive manual, which is a little bit more tricky than automatic because, I can go into any country and I can rent a car, manual car in developing countries, right? Although these days I think most cars are automatic, but I can drive manual. Obviously I can drive automatic. But that's my point. Once you learn how to do something for the first time, you don't even think about it. So you're going to get to a point later on where you're going to create a $10 ebook, and after that it's so easy. You're going to create a $50 ebook, and it's the same story. The price is different, but you're going to be printing ebooks and video courses at $50. So I'm here to tell you that you can do it. I've done it and I keep doing it. I don't even think about it, in the same way that people don't think about anything when they ride a bike. They just sit on the seat and they start pedaling. Same thing with walking. You just put one foot in front of the other. Same thing with driving. You sit behind the wheel, you turn on the key, and you start driving. You don't even think about it. So I think ultimately maybe that's the goal with this challenge, make money with AI. Just create a digital product and start selling it for $1, start selling it for $2. Do anything and whatever you have to do. Just send messages to your LinkedIn connections. Just tell them, look guys, Peter gave me a challenge. I gotta make some money in 10 days, otherwise he's gonna say I'm a loser. So come up with any kind of joke, any kind of social media message, but just make sure that you're making money. Any amount of money is fine, whether it's $5, $10, just make sure that you're making money, you're receiving money within 10 days. Like not 20 days, you're gonna lose your focus. Within 10 days, just get the money from people and promise them whatever you have to promise them, but just start making money. In the same way that, when you first learned how to walk, you didn't care where you were going. You just wanted to not fall flat on your face, right? That's the objective. When you first learn how to walk, it's not like you want to go on a trek in the mountains. No, you just want to stand on your 2 feet, right? Same thing with riding a bike. You don't care where you're going. You just want to avoid falling because you could hurt yourself. So in the same way, the challenge of this webinar is for me to encourage you, just make money. Just get $1 or $2 from somebody. You can even stop somebody on the street. I think I'm going to do that. Stop somebody on the street and say, hey, I have something for you. Do you have 2 minutes? And then you start selling your thing to a complete stranger on the street. Or you don't have to. You can just send an email to people. I think I'm going to write that email for you. Send an email to people and start selling. For example, you can start selling the Google Sheet that I'm going to sell to you. I'm going to sell to you maybe, I'm even open to selling to you not for $10, but for $2. How about that? So for $2, you can get my Google Sheet, and it has $10 printed at the top. So you can sell it for $10 to anyone that you know, and once they buy it, you're making $8 profit because you paid me $2. So I'm willing to give you this so that you can start to make money in 10 days. This is something that has been created already. I've been selling it since ChatGPT was created. And so you can sell it too. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is that people are going to say, oh no, why do I have to pay you $10? There's tons of free prompts online, and then you can get ChatGPT to create rebuttals to their objections. ChatGPT can create tons of sales letters and content to help you to sell this Google Sheet, which is absolutely necessary because people don't know how to write prompts. So this is probably the low-hanging fruit. It's going to help you to get started. But you don't have to sell my Google Sheet. You can write an ebook. I'm probably going to sell you my ebooks on various topics, business, marketing, sales. I'm going to sell it to you and you can resell it. So that's another way. But it doesn't matter whether you're selling my Google Sheet or your ebook or your video course. Just get started. Like, give yourself 10 days. So for the next 10 days, don't think about anything else except how to make money with AI. And there's tons of ways, tons of ideas like I've covered in this webinar. So let's recap. Let's do a recap and really conclude this webinar because I've been talking for 57 minutes. So let's conclude and say for the next 10 days, only think about or obsess how to make money by creating and selling a digital product. That's it. That's your obsession. And so put that somewhere. And like I've learned with Brian Tracy in his book Maximum Achievement, what I've learned from Brian Tracy, and I was telling my sister in Toronto yesterday, I came across this book which I read like decades ago, like when I was in my early 20s and I was a university dropout. And there's, so Brian was kind of like the first self-help author that I came across. And it's amazing that this book, this Maximum Achievement book, was actually a best-selling webinar or seminar that Brian was giving. And he also has an audio tape version. You can probably find it on YouTube. If I find it, I'm going to share it. But there's one amazing principle or insight that he writes about. And at the time, that was like in the early 1990s, I didn't really believe it. But he talks about the super conscious mind. And this is really the way that it works. And basically what Brian was saying is that when you set a goal, let me just write it here. When you set a goal with your conscious mind, so this is the mind that people are using every day, your super conscious mind, and some people even call it the universal mind, which is accessible to everyone. And I think that Steve Jobs, by the way, had access to this mind. We'll talk more about that later on. But your super conscious mind gets to work. And so it's going to give you ideas, it's going to give you opportunities, it's going to give you perceptions that you didn't have before. And this happens only because your conscious mind decided to have a goal, like a focus. So if you don't have a goal, like for example, in this case, make money within 10 days. If you don't have that goal, you're going to be like most people who are just watching the news about AI. They're going to read about, artificial general intelligence. They're going to watch tons of videos by Sam Altman, who's going to talk about GPT and the future of OpenAI. Who cares about the future of OpenAI? They're going to be able to take care of themselves. I guarantee you that. You don't have to care about OpenAI. You don't have to care about AGI or the existential threat. People like Elon Musk, that's what they're supposed to do. They're the elite. We don't have to worry about AGI. We don't have to worry about losing jobs. The government is going to help us, okay? Your goal is just to make money. So when you set a clear goal, like how do I make money, like $10 minimum. How do I make $10 within 10 days? When you have that goal set by your conscious mind and you write it down on a piece of paper and you stick that piece of paper on your fridge door, then your superconscious mind, or the universal mind or computer, it gets to work, and it's going to give you ideas, opportunities, perceptions, and then you're going to be able to suddenly, oh, wait a minute, after day number 3, you're going to have an idea on how you can sell something to your LinkedIn connections or your Facebook friends. And this happens to me all the time, but you've got to have a goal, that you write down and you're serious about. Like, for example, I don't mind sharing with you my goal of making $20,000 in passive income per month. And so ever since I had that goal, I have tons of ideas. I do passive income nowadays. I have some passive income, so that's why I don't have to get a job. But I'm not at that level yet. But I get tons of ideas, like My Fellow Canadians, which I'm going to talk about later. But My Fellow Canadians is a membership site where, it's going to generate easily $20,000 a month. It's because I believe it's possible, and that's why I'm getting closer and closer to that goals. But in your case, you don't have to be that ambitious. $20K a month, that's a lot of money. But in your case, just set the goal of making at least $10. At least $10. You have guys, you have 10 days to make $10 from AI or from an information. But I mean, that's crazy, right? The only thing is that it cannot be $10 that you're making through a service like, I don't know, mowing the lawn or something. Okay, it has to be a product that you're selling for $10. So the first thing you got to do is go on Gumroad and create your free account. And after you do, I can sell to you a resellable ebook that you can resell on Gumroad. So I'm willing to make it super cheap, even $10. That's my promise to you. I can sell it to you for $10, and you can turn around and you can sell it for $100. So your first customer, you're making a $90 profit already. But you gotta contact me, and so if you've watched this webinar till now, I know that you're serious. If you stop watching this webinar, then obviously you don't have access to this offer. I'm gonna sell to you an ebook that comes with master resale rights, and it will cost you only $10, and you're going to be able to resell it at any price, and you're going to pocket 100% of the profits. So you see, that's just an idea that just came to me, and it's an idea that comes to you because you're watching this webinar. So you can easily resell for $100. So anyways, my point I was making is that Brian Tracy taught me that over 25 years ago, and it's only today that I understood what Brian Tracy discovered and what he was sharing in his book. So let me make it even more clear here so that you understand that because you're watching this webinar, you're getting a reward. So here's my offer for you. Okay, so I'm willing to sell you an ebook, and I'll decide later on the topic of that ebook. It can be email marketing, it can be professional sales, etc. But I'm gonna sell to you an ebook, based on a college level course I created for only $10, and I officially make you the promise that you're gonna have the master resale rights. So basically, master resale rights means that when you buy my ebook, you're gonna be able to sell that ebook to your customers, and your customers will also have the master resale rights, meaning that they can turn around and they can resell the book as well. Okay, so that's what it means, master resale rights. So I'm gonna sell to you an ebook for only $10, and the price on the cover of that ebook is gonna be $100. So people will know that that's the value of that ebook. And so you can sell it for $100, you can sell it for $50. You're gonna make a profit because you paid me only $10. And so this is probably the easiest way for you to start making money within 10 days, because you don't have to write that ebook. Like I spent the last 20 years creating courses and workshops. So I'm really an expert. I'm an expert when it comes to course creation. So you don't have to do that. You just have to pay $10 to get my ebook that comes with master resale rights, and you can resell to anyone exactly as it is, because it's a PDF document. You cannot modify it in any way, but you sell it exactly the way that I sold it to you at any price, and you're going to make a profit. This is the easiest way for you to make money with AI within 10 days. Now, why do I mean with AI? This is just my ebook. Well, you can use ChatGPT to create sales letters, to resell my ebook. So that's what I mean. You can use ChatGPT to sell. The thing is that if you don't have an ebook or an information product or a digital product to sell, then ChatGPT is useless for you. You shouldn't pay $20 or $200 per month to use ChatGPT, because it's not making money for you. But now that you have my $10 resellable ebook, you can actually use ChatGPT to create tons of content, sales funnels, sales letters to resell my ebook. So you're actually going to make money, through ChatGPT and my ebook. And so I don't know, maybe you're going to be able to make, let's say you're reselling my ebook for $50. Maybe you're going to be able to make tons of money. I don't know how much money, but once you start selling to a couple of people, you're going to feel so confident that my ebook is actually selling, and you're just going to not spam people, but you're going to reach out and tell people, hey, you should buy this ebook by Peter, because just like I did, once you buy it, you're going to be able to resell it at any price. And just like I do, you're going to be able to make profits even while you're sleeping at home. So you just have to get started. So anyways, I don't want to promote my ebook too much, but this is my offer to you. So if you've reached this point in the webinar, please contact me, and I will make sure that I'm going to send you the link so you can purchase my ebook for only $10, and you can resell it and you can make money. All right, so thanks for being there, and congratulations if you've reached this point. It shows to me that you're serious and I can actually work with you. And so good luck for the next 10 days, but just focus on how you can make money with AI in the next 10 days. And I guarantee you that somehow the superconscious mind inside of you, which is connected to the universal mind, it's going to give you ideas, opportunities, and perceptions, so that you will actually start to make money with AI. It doesn't have to be my resellable ebook, but you're going to find a way to make money with AI. But you have to focus. You have to set down the goal, consciously set down the goal of making money within 10 days, okay? Give yourself that goal. $10 within 10 days, it's not too demanding, right? Like just $10. You can sell something to 10 people for $1, or you can sell something to one person for $10. It's not too demanding, but once you start, it's like a snowball effect. It's much easier afterwards. What is hard is for people to get off their butt and actually do something, and only the mature people will set a goal. The people who are not mature, they're going to wait for AI, they're going to wait for UBI, for the government, for their employer to tell them what to do. But if you want to make money, if you want to get rich in this life, and you totally deserve any amount of money that you aim for, if you want to get rich, if you don't want to worry about money anymore, just set the goal of making money within 10 days using AI. And just by setting that goal, you're going to put yourself in the 5% of the population that is not waiting to face some crisis. They're proactively pursuing wealth. They're proactively pursuing money. They're setting down a goal. And that's what studies have shown. Studies have shown that only 5% of the population will write down their goals, right? 95% of the population will just go with the flow. They just show up at the job. They do what the boss requires, and they're not living. They're just like zombies. They're going to be working for 40 years for somebody, for the employer, and it never occurs to them that they can actually have their own goal. And I guarantee you that once you set this goal within 10 days and you start to make money, after that, it's just a matter of printing money. That's the beauty of the internet. The internet is like a giant photocopy machine, but you have to give something to the internet to photocopy. So if you create an ebook, and even if you charge $10, well, the internet is going to photocopy that $10, right? And so you're going to making tons and tons of $10, or tons and tons of $50. But you've got to give the internet a master copy so that the internet can make money, can print money for you. If you don't give the internet a master copy of a video course or an ebook, the internet is not going to be able to print money for you. So this is so important. Let me just share that as a last thought here, because I want it to be so the internet is a money photocopy machine, but it's not like counterfeit money. Okay, it's not illegal. It's a money photocopy machine in the sense that if you create an ebook, video course, etc., then the internet can print money for you. Okay, but your job, your only job, is to create the first copy, the first video course. It can be a very crappy video course, and let me guarantee you that the first version of your video course is going to be crappy, but it don't matter. What matters is that you create a preliminary version. Same thing with your ebook. The first version is going to be crappy. It's going to be ridiculous. You're going to look back in the same way that I look back at my first ebook and video course. I'm laughing at it, but still I made money from my first audio course. The voice was terrible, but still I made money, because you have to understand that, you know, people, students, your students don't care about the looks and image of your info product. The only thing they care about is whether your knowledge will help them to the results they want. That's it. They want your knowledge. They don't want you to create something like created by Jonathan Ive from Apple or Steve Jobs. They want something beautiful and fanciful. They are hungry for knowledge. So for example, if you've been successful in anything in your life, you know, I have friends who are, let's say Jonathan, you know, he was able to retire by the time he was 35. You know, he made tons of money with real estate. Like at one point, I think he sent me an email. He said, Peter, I just want to announce, which is funny, that I made like $300,000 in net profit by flipping, I think 2 or 3 houses. And not only that, but he said, Peter, remember, this is after taxes, after all the expenses. This is net profit. And Jonathan had a job as a manager. You know, I think he was making like $80K a year. So this is in addition to his job as a manager. So this guy, Jonathan, you know, he retired when he was 35, like $300K in net profit, flipping 3 houses. And that was the first time he was flipping houses. He didn't even have experience. So this guy, I was telling him, he's a friend of mine, you should write an ebook, because you have the data, you have the information, you have the track record. Jonathan, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Why aren't you selling your knowledge? You know, people would easily, I know this because I would be happy to sell for him for a fee, of course. People would easily buy his ebook $50, you know. And watch this. I have like 20,000 LinkedIn connections. So when you multiply by $50, like together, me and Jonathan, we can make so much money. But he has internal self-limiting beliefs. Like he doesn't believe that his knowledge is worth $50, which is ridiculous when you think about it, you know. So I'm not going to be able to sell to 21,000 connections, but let's say 2,000 of them buy, right? That's like about 10%. Or even like, not even 2,000, 200 people buy. What is that? That's like together, you know, we can make $10,000 just by me sending the sales page to my LinkedIn connections. Of course, I get 50%, so I get 5,000, he gets 5,000. That's easy money. It's just that Jonathan doesn't value his knowledge, which obviously is proven knowledge, because, you know, 300K, that's proven. And he has all the documents to prove it, you know, and that's not even his full-time job. He was a manager working for a big company. So anyways, my point is that people can so easily make money. They can so easily create an information product. It's just that they haven't done it. And I have done it over and over again. I've made a lot of money creating courses and information products and Zoom webinars. I've made so much money. And so in my mind, there is zero doubt. But in your mind, there is only doubt. And so my job is to help you to remove your doubt. My job is not necessarily to teach you, because you have so much knowledge already, like Jonathan. You've been successful at something. It's not possible for you to have lived this long without being successful at one thing. It's not possible, okay? But although you've been successful like Jonathan, you don't value your knowledge. You don't know how to create information product. And you don't have anything to know. You just have to start recording yourself using your smartphone, which you have. Recording yourself, create an audio program, a video course. It's going to be crappy, but that's okay. Just get started. And, because your students, the people who are behind you, they just want your knowledge. In this case, they just want Jonathan to tell them, okay, dude, how do I do this? How do I flip houses? How do I get to this level? And Jonathan is going to share everything, all the details. And maybe in their case, maybe they're not going to be flipping houses. They're going to do something else. They're going to flip cars. They're going to buy something secondhand. They're going to sell on Facebook Marketplace. Maybe it's going to be different. But just by reading Jonathan's book, they're going to get inspired, and they're going to inspire to start their wealth creation journey for only $50. And they will totally believe Jonathan. Because Jonathan is going to tell them, look, when I started, I had zero belief in myself, but I did it. So maybe the knowledge they're going to get is really in the form of inspiration. They're going to start to do stuff, not about real estate, but going to do something else. But Jonathan will have given them the inspiration, the knowledge, the certainty that they too can create like a 6-figure income or even a 5-figure income that is additional in addition to their daytime job. So there's so much good that Jonathan can do. There's so much good that you can do once you start capturing your knowledge in the form of a simple ebook. It can be just 20 pages, but you got to get started. You got to sell something within 10 days. If you're gonna ignore my encouragement and this live stream, you're gonna spend the next few weeks, the next few months, and AI is going to get more and more powerful, and you're still not making money because you haven't committed to the simple commitment of only obsessing for 10 days. I'm not asking for 10 months here. I'm just asking for 10 days. Just focus about how you can make money, and your superconscious mind is going to take over, and it's going to help you. But you got to commit. You got to write down your goal. I'm going to make at least $10 in the next 10 days. All right, guys, I think you get the point by now. I don't want to belabor the point, but just commit to a goal, just $10 in 10 days, and I guarantee you after that, it's going to be so much easier. You're going to make $100 in 10 days. You're going to make $1,000 in 10 days. You're going to be financially free. So that's what I want for you. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you more in the next live stream.